We talking about sports, get ball.
What it do, baby? Yeah.
What it do, you number one podcast listeners? Short hiatus, unintentional, a little under the weather, things going on, but we're back, baby. The number one podcast in your headphones, Creme Brulee, is back in your headphones. I apologize for the delay, but I'm your host, Premal Bhatt, and this episode I'm joined by my big cousin, Roshan Bhatt. Welcome back, bro.
Yes, sir. Good to be back. Let's get
this. Yes, sir. Short hiatus, but I'm thinking this one's going to be worth it for you number one podcast listeners as always. So stay tuned, alert.
It will definitely be worth it.
But first up, let's handle our sponsor. This episode is sponsored by Sleep Attle, a boutique photo studio in Asbury Park, New Jersey. From cinematic stills, unique and classic wedding and elopement photos, even product or commercial photography like you see for the Creme Brulee brand. Sleep Attle is a full-service studio, so visit their Instagram or website at Sleep Attle, that's SLEEPATTLE, or sleepaddle.com, and treat your eyes to something nice. You already know the vibes, number one photographer for the number one podcast in your headphones. Anyway, we are in this now, you number one podcast listeners. Creme Brulee, it's going to be spicier than ever. So, without further ado, let's get started, Rosh. You know the drill. We're going to start with yeah, fam or nah, and I like this word association we've been doing.
All right.
Okay, you know what? Screw it. We're going straight to you played yourself. You good with that?
Yeah, fam.
Why wait? Yeah, you number one podcast listeners probably get the vibe. You without a doubt by now know what happened with the Dallas Cowboys. So just a major hint for not too long from now. Just maybe turn down the volume a smidge in preparation for that. But let's hit that you played yourself intro.
I'm petty as hell.
And
I'm super petty.
here we
Petty Le Pew.
go.
All right, you number one podcast listeners. I figured little hiatus, we give the people what they want. Let's just skip yeah, fam or not for this edition and go straight to you played yourself. First,
You know, it's no coincidence that you took a small hiatus, and the second the Cowboys game wrapped up, I get a text message, and you're like, "Hey man, want to record this week?"
Yeah.
And I was just like, "Of course, fucking course."
I said football is dead, part 4, and you knew it was up. It's like sending the bat signal. So let's fucking
the bot
get
signal.
it. The bot signal. There we go. We're just a perpetual state of misery on Sundays all across the bot
For
family.
sure.
It's kind of the way.
Absolutely.
But will we stop watching? Nope.
No.
Okay, first up, before we get to that, I did want to talk about this. You played yourself goes to college football regular season importance. So the college football playoffs board of managers unanimously voted to expand the college football playoff to 12 teams in 2026. And actually, they are encouraging their sports commissioners to implement that change by 2024. So we could very well see in a couple years it expand to 12 teams, and that's the plan. No matter what, in a few years, it is going to be at 12 teams, but might be a little sooner than you think. So before I get into the details of why they played themselves, I did want to give kudos because it's kind of a mixed bag with this college football playoff. So this model grants automatic bids to the 6 highest ranked conference champions. And it gives first round buys to the highest ranked 4 champions and completes the field with 6 at-large selections. So again, those 4 highest ranked conference champions will get a bye into the next round. And then the team seeded 5 through 12 will play games at the higher seed site. So the 5 seed will get to essentially decide whether they want to play in their home stadium. They could choose to pick an indoor venue, for example. Like they were talking hypothetically, Ohio State, if they don't want to play in the elements because it would impact their offense too in the winter, they could maybe decide to hold it where the Big Ten championships played in Indianapolis at Lucas Oil Stadium, for example. But it would be their choice, the higher seeded teams. And then the following round would go back into what we're all familiar with. It would have the existing New Year's 6 bowl sites would each host a game basically of more importance. And then 2 of the bowls would get the semifinal the round after that. So kind of similar what everybody was kind of thinking this would be set up as. So that gets into my point of you played yourself here. Based on past years, this means that this will without a doubt put a 3-loss team in the college football playoff. Put them square in there. It could be just one team. There might be a year where there aren't any, of course, but it's very likely that you'll see at least one 3-loss team in there. Because, again, all you need is a conference champion. And if you notice, there were 6 conference champions. There's only 5 Power 5 conferences. So that 6th one could be down, as long as they're ranked, they could be put in. They could have 3 losses. Or one of the Power 5s that wouldn't exactly have been worthy of a college football playoff in the past is going to make it in with potentially 3 losses. Prime example being last year, the Pac-12's champion was Utah. They had 3 losses, so they would have gotten into the college football playoff in this 12-team format. This will, without a doubt, also put less weight on regular season losses because knowing that there are 12 teams in a playoff, you can afford to lose. You're not out of it. For example, we're Ohio State fans. They lost twice. They would have been in the college football playoff last year. It wouldn't have been as dire. Obviously, you never want to lose to the team up north, but just knowing that you could still be competing for it all despite a loss to your rival kind of diminishes it a little bit. Of course, the greatest rivalry in sports, Ohio State versus a team up north isn't going to suffer in anything like that because it's so historic, but you get the vibe that I'm putting out here. Overall, I do love this move. Obviously, money talks, but I would have preferred a 6 or 8 team playoff. I think it still would have added a lot of weight to potential losses. I also think a casualty of this is potentially that teams won't schedule marquee games. I think I've seen both sides of the coin. They could schedule marquee games because a loss wouldn't devastate their season, or they could just say, hey, we want to play for the first round bye. They're going to put us in if we go undefeated, and they could choose not to. Potentially a lot of things at play. We'll see how it pans out. But you played yourself no matter what to the regular season importance of the season by expanding this playoff to 12. I know you're a big college football guy. You got anything to add? A little go Cougs? Or?
I'm kind of with you. It kind of takes the weight of the regular season off, and there's just kind of like, who cares? We lose this game. It's not a big deal. And I think you lose a lot of that competitive edge in these games too, because just look at some of the games that we saw these, past couple weeks. Like, you're not going to, like, UT, Alabama, just, like, it wouldn't have been as competitive down the stretch because UT is going to be like, well, we can lose this game and still make a run for it by winning the Big 12 or whatever it is, SEC eventually, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. So it's whatever. I'm with you. It should have been 8 teams tops. I think 12 is way too much. You're going to see the Cougars in there at some point, maybe. So go figure. But who knows? It'll be cool.
I mean, they're going to be in a Power 5 conference
for sure
soon too. Yeah. So, I think nice part of this is it will be cool to see games at home sites in the opening round. Mm-hmm. So basically, Big Ten fans have long awaited getting like an SEC school to have to come up to the Midwest in December and play a game, because the off chances that it happens, it's usually the beginning of the year when weather's nice across the country. So I think this is going to be really appealing. Like, if Ohio State were to be like one of the home sites, 5, 6, 7, 8, seed. Yeah, I would love for them to still put in the shoe. I think they would, because they could pack it with 110,000 where a Lucas Oil Stadium wouldn't fit that many. Yeah. But on that note, I want to transition a little more to You Played Yourself. You Played Yourself goes to Desmond Howard. I think he is, there's some bad ones out there, but I think he is that absolute worst, and I'm using air quotes in this, analyst that there is to offer regarding college football, and especially that ESPN. I don't call for anyone's livelihood, but I seriously don't know how this guy gets to keep his position with his blatant homerism and a sheer lack of awareness. So this man's preseason college football playoff Final Four was the following teams: Texas A&M, Pitt, Baylor, and Michigan. Texas A&M was his predicted champion. The champion. They, mind you, they haven't even won their conference. Haven't even been to the SEC championship anytime. So, not one, not two, but not three of his four teams lost in week 2 of the college football season. And then the fourth is Michigan, who's been playing JV teams from high school.
Yeah.
And their schedule doesn't get any more difficult. This man picks fucking Michigan every year. Every year. And then he has the audacity to get on, like, College Game Day and call out Kirk Herbstreit for being a homer, saying when Kirk Herbstreit calls him Team Up North, he calls him out on it. Wow, this guy with the fucking straight face submits these picks every year for Michigan. And there have been some years where they weren't even close. Like, in preseason, weren't even close. So you played yourself goes to Desmond Howard, and the platform he keeps being given, it's fucking ridiculous. And side note, of course he went to Team Up North, so of course he'd be like that. Fuck out of here. Okay. Quickly, I want to go over to NBA players. I know it's the off-season right now. NBA players complaining about their NBA 2K rating. Fam, you know you can't all be 99s, right? Like, Austin Rivers calling his rating of a 73 garbage. Dude, you're fucking Austin Rivers. I'm sorry to tell you.
From the bottom of my heart, I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
Like, you can't be a 99. You might be a 99 in your head, but then all these guys who hate their ratings are like, game is trash anyway. All right. Yeah, you sound fucking mature. I'm sure you think it's trash. It has nothing to do with how they rated you. Like, God forbid someone not be a 99. I'm of the feeling that I don't think anyone beyond maybe one or two players should be a 99 in the game, because that inherently devalues the 99. If you're saying 99 is the highest rating, you're essentially calling that player the best. There aren't that many best players.
Yeah.
So I think it should be used sparingly, and I usually don't have a problem with their ratings. Like, Klay Thompson was unhappy with what he was rated in 3-point shooting. Like, yeah, he's fucking good, but you also came off 2 major injuries, so you're not a 99 shooting the ball coming off a season where you were just getting back to full time.
He was also not that good. He was also not as good as he used to be. I'm not sure what he's watching.
Yeah, and he's still one of the top 3-point shooters. Yes. Like Steph Curry, and then there's like a 4-way tie for 3-point shooting. Like, give me a break, guys. And yeah, now the game's trash because they wronged you somehow. They rated you different. They adjust their ratings. If you ball out, you become a higher rating.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the big fucking issue is. Like, Austin Rivers can play as himself and just ball out. It doesn't matter. He can change the sliders on his player and make himself a 99, but I guarantee no one's fucking doing that. Nobody cares that he's a fucking 73. You can't all be 99s. Get over it. It's so weird. It's like bozo behavior, man. Like, You're not a 99. How about you're in a video game? Like, give me a break.
Yeah, the ego is a hell of a drug, man. These guys are like, just go play basketball, man. Calm down. It's a video game. You're making millions of dollars playing basketball. Like, stop worrying about what Ronnie 2K is rating your ass. Like, and like the first one I remember seeing on Twitter was none other than KD, and it's like, bro, you were the only one who didn't win. You're the only star who didn't win a series or didn't even win a game, rather, in the playoffs this year. And you're mad about a 96. He was mad about. He was mad about a 96, and it's like, dude, bro, what are you crying on Twitter about? Like, oh my God, you guys have to stop being so soft. That is so baby shit.
Baby shit soft, exactly.
You know how soft that is.
I do. Can confirm.
You know that's soft.
Can confirm.
You're crazy.
All right, let's move over to the NFL. We got a lot to cover here. So first up on you played yourself. I'm gonna let you take this one. I know you. When you and I were talking, you had this one ready to go.
All right. First one to the You Played Yourself stage. Baker Mayfield, it's your time. I believe he's been on here before. I would not be surprised he's been on here multiple times. I know he's been on here at least once. But, he's on here for I don't know. I don't even know what to say about him anymore. He just continuously runs his mouth. And I know he knows he's not that good. And I know he knows, like, when he looks at his peers in the NFL and he sees other quarterbacks and he sees just quarterbacks in his division, he's like the fourth best in his division last year, probably the fourth best this year. You know what I mean? And it's just like he got traded for what, conditional fifth rounder or something. And, you know, obviously his emotions are running high because the week 1 game is against the Browns, and he's just like, you know, I'm going to be off the leash, you know, taking a shady shot at the dog pound. He's like, I'm going to fuck them up, all that stuff. And his stat line is 16 of 27, 235 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. And it's just like,
spoiler alert, he was not off the leash.
He was not off the leash. I don't think even Matt Rule let him off the leash, and Matt Rule is one of the worst coaches in the league right now. I'm not sure how he still has a job. He just doesn't really know. I don't know what his offense does, but granted, his kicker blew it at the end, or, you know, like, or not his kicker, but, you know, he got kicked out of the game or whatever it is. But, you know, with this kind of shit talk, you would think he's going to put up Mahomes numbers. You know, when you're like, I'm going to be off the leash, I'm going to fuck them up. Like, bro, you better be coming. I don't want to see one number in the INT side of your stat sheet. But it's just Jacoby Brissett numbers. And he was playing on the other side, and he got outplayed by Jacoby Brissett. And I'm just like, come on, man. Like, you got to stop talking at some point. Just play the game, and earn a contract. You're a dude in the NFL who sells tickets. You will get a contract if you just stop talking so much.
Yeah, he really does talk like he's one of the best, but he doesn't back it up. And that game was like a full gambit of it was a pure Baker Mayfield. Like, you saw him score a touchdown. You saw him mishandle snaps. You saw him airmail a pass that should have been completed ended up being an interception. It's literally the classic Baker Mayfield performance. And I think it would have broken Brown's hearts if he somehow managed to be different than that. But it really did prove the Browns right for letting him go, because it was your classic up and down roller coaster. And the name of the game as quarterback in the NFL, if you're not going to be dynamic like Mahomes or, you know, Rodgers or Josh Allen, is at least don't make mistakes. Right. And he still does it every time. So
his best pass was, to the opposing player. Like, it was a dot to a Browns player. It was better than any safety. It was better than any pass he made as a Browns player to a Browns player last year. It's like, come on, man.
It was like the quintessential Baker Mayfield performance.
Absolutely.
Browns fans got to feel good about that, because it really they wouldn't have heard the end of it if they ended up losing that. I know they won as like a 58-yard field goal. Yeah. Like, I know they won in dramatic fashion, but you know, they would have never heard the end of that. So they got to feel good, like, okay, we made the right decision. Mm-hmm. The Browns front office has to feel that way too, because they literally saw him do what he's done for the past 4 years in Cleveland. Next one's near and dear to your heart too, so I'm gonna let you take that one.
I wanna backtrack a couple of words. It's not very near and dear to my heart, but you know, as a Houston Texans former on the fence fan, there's a part of me every year right before the season starts. Obviously, it's been, you know, rough the last couple of years with all the Deshaun shit last year and just having a horrible draft and no draft picks and blah blah blah. We had a pretty solid draft this year. That, you know, Nick Casario did a pretty good job. He hired Lovie Smith after having, you know, David Culley for one season, made him a scapegoat, fired him, hired Lovie Smith. Not a great hire to begin with, but whatever. It is what it is. As the game is going on, obviously I'm watching, I'm tuned in, and you know, they're playing really well. The defense is flying all over the field. You see a lot of effort. They're up, I believe it was 20-3 on the Colts going into the fourth quarter, and I'm like, damn, okay, they're playing like with some gumption, you know, with some guts. I was like, all right, that's cool. It's good to see them go out there. I'm trying not to see them win games, mind you. We have C.J. Stroud, future Houston Texans quarterback, to go draft. So, you know, I'm trying not to win more than 4 games. Yeah. This guy, Lovie Smith, his team blows a 17-point lead in the quarter. Being a defensive-minded guy, that's strictly on the defense. Offense does nothing. And after the game, obviously they tied with the Colts. There was some back and forth about his questionable play calling. They were about at midfield. It was a 4th and 3. Instead of going for it, he decides to punt it. There's less than 30 seconds on the clock. They had a timeout. Couple plays, you're in field goal range, try to kick a field goal, win the game. Your odds are pretty high. You're playing at home, you're indoors. I'd put my money on Kaimi Fairbairn to make a field goal. That's from 50 out. This dude punts it.
Or at least if you convert it, then if he misses it, you tie anyway.
You tied anyway. So you're back where you wanted to be. And after the game, they asked him about this, and he was just, quote, this is his quote, "There's a lot of football left to go in the season. It's kind of as simple as that. I felt like a tie was better than a potential loss. Defensively, we weren't really stopping them an awful lot at the end." I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure that coaches aren't supposed to say this. I don't think anyone's supposed to say this at any job they're at. You know, I just didn't want to get fired, so I figured I would just be late instead of getting fired. I don't know what kind of shit that is. Like, you said that in the presser after your first game as a head coach. Mind you, he had to go coach college. He was not in the NFL for some time. He comes back. This is his first game back. Yeah, first game back. And this is the energy you're bringing into the season. I was like, oh, this is why I hated watching the Texans last year. And we're back at square one. And I truly hope they lose, 15 out of 17 games. So Lovie Smith can also get fired, and they can get a real coach. Because that is some crazy bullshit right there. Who plays for a tie?
That doesn't spark a lot of confidence in the locker room. Could you imagine hearing that as a player?
Yeah.
Like, oh, not only are we going to say, I'm going to criticize my defense, but there's a lot of football left to play. And we thought a tie. Never once did he mention winning. He just mentioned a tie
Absolutely.
versus a loss.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, sure enough, he is currently sitting in first place in the AFC South with a 0-0-1 record.
That's right. I saw that.
Because
That's true.
The Jags lost and the Titans blew it. So go figure. So, Lovie Smith, enjoy your time, and you played yourself. You might not be back here because I might not be watching any more Texans games, because that was enough for me to be like, oh, fuck, this is why I don't watch this shit anymore.
He's just been coaching for so long, he's tired of the coach speak. So he said,
no thanks, winning's whatever. I'm just playing to not lose. All right, sick.
Yeah.
Sick.
If you tie every game, at least you didn't lose them.
We didn't lose every game. Incredible.
Okay, reverse, you played yourself. First up, I'm going to give you the second one. First up, Justin Fields. Reverse, you played yourself. This man came in. They were home underdogs in a very sloppy field at Soldier Field. By the way, Chicago, just get an indoor stadium. Enough's enough. Like, you're not proving anything by being out in the elements. Nobody's enjoying that. That field looked awful to play on. They had to superimpose black lines, the yard markers, because it was so muddy on that field that they all got washed away. Anyway, the Chicago Bears beat the 49ers, and reverse, you played yourself. My guy, Justin Fields, with one of the coldest football pictures ever.
That
also,
pick was
by
so
the way.
hard.
I don't know if you saw
that
that
was
one.
So hard.
That flexing in the rain, after they won. He was able to beat the team that should have drafted him. If you remember, the 49ers traded up, and that was a year where there were a lot of quarterbacks available, a couple years. And they trade up to the number 3 pick, debating between, Trey Lance and Justin Fields or Mac Jones. They chose Trey Lance. Justin Fields was picked then at 11. Chicago traded up and got him. So love that for him. Got revenge on the team that should have taken him. The team I really hoped would take him because they were going to use him in a creative way.
For sure.
I would have loved to use under Kyle Shanahan, but you take that dub over the team that passed you up all day.
So congratulations.
Love to see
you played yourself.
Our guy, go Bucks, Justin Fields, do his thing. Game 1, home underdogs, and we got that dub outright.
Yeah, that's got to be a good feeling.
Hell yeah. Next up,
Reverse You Played Yourself goes to Patty Mahomes, man. This entire offseason and even some of last year, kind of dating back to those Joe Burrow games, since he beat the Chiefs twice, everyone was like, oh, the Chiefs have been figured out, Patrick Mahomes has been figured out. Tyreek Hill gets traded in the offseason. They're like, he has no weapons, he's going to be exposed, blah, blah, blah. What does Patty Mahomes do? He comes out and he just put numbers on the board, bro. 30 for 30 for 39, 360 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 0 picks. That is that is a flawless stat. That's a Madden stat line. Reverse You Played Yourself, Patty Mahomes.
You could literally like carve off part of his stats, and I would have taken that for the Cowboys' performance.
You had to throw that in there.
Yeah,
cut the stats in half.
Just a little warm up.
Cut the stats in half. Give them to Dak, and I think the Cowboys had a shot. Yeah, go figure.
They probably would have. Yeah, go figure.
Yeah, I'm sure Patty Mahomes is on some kind of tear this year. I know he's online a lot. Like, the dude is young. I'm sure he reads Twitter and has a bunch of shit bookmarked.
His brother and wife probably tell him.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, he's gonna be on some kind of revenge tour this year. I'm looking forward to watching him play.
I agree. I'm very impressed, and like the nice thing about him versus we're going to talk about another couple quarterbacks, that lost top receivers, and they're in different scenarios. The difference is Mahomes still has someone like Travis Kelce that he can depend on, and also another difference is his team still tried to pick up skill players that can not fill completely Tyreek Hill, but collectively at least bridge the gap. And his distribution in targets was all across the board. I think he targeted Juju the most out of the receivers, but it was spread out, like Valdez-Scantling, Mecole Hardman. Yeah. So he's spreading it out, and I think it's going to free him up a little. You don't have to get Tyreek Hill going. Yep. It's just going to let Mahomes get creative. So, yeah, kudos to him. I mean, it really seemed like he was out to prove something that first game, and it was wild to see. So, good for him. Yeah, I definitely take part of those stats. Yeah, I'm thinking if we get 2 of his touchdowns, that's 2 more than the Cowboys score. Yeah. Hell, if we just had 1 of the touchdowns and even like 60 more yards, I would have taken that. Like, we don't even need... He can still keep his 300 game, But unfortunately, we don't get that. All right, Broncos country. Let's ride.
Broncos country. Let's ride.
Next up, you played yourself to Sierra's husband, Russell Wilson.
Yes.
This man lost his opening game to his former team in Seattle. They lost 17-16. Worth noting, the team did have some weird clock management, so bonus, you played yourself to their new head coach, Nathaniel Hackett. But they didn't give their $240 million quarterback the ball on a couple goal line situations. They had their 2 running backs fumble at the goal line. I think I heard that it's the first time that a team has had 2 fumbles inside like the 1 yard line in a game ever. So that's less than ideal. It's ironic because, Russell Wilson's most famous like goal line play was they passed instead of ran. Here they ran instead of passed, and none of them worked out.
That's a lot of irony for him, yeah.
Yeah, and then they had that weird last drive where they had it was a 3rd and 14. Russell Wilson dumps it to Javonte Williams. He gets a good gain of 9, so they have 4th and 5 from it's around like the 40-yard line. So your 46-yard line, I believe, in Seattle territory. Instead of they had 3 timeouts. Instead of calling a timeout to dial up a play, instead of trying to simulate a quick count to maybe get a penalty and a quick first down, instead of just hurrying up and running a play, they do none of those, let the clock run, and then use a timeout and decide to trot out their field goal kicker for a 64-yarder, acting as if 64 yards is a chip shot. And the kicker ended up missing it. It had distance, but went a little left. That happens when you're kicking 64-yard field goal. Just a weird game for them, like not trusting the quarterback they just invested and paid a shit ton for. And I mean, you kind of love to see it because the Seahawks got their revenge. I think people aren't talking, but it seems like you get the vibe around the Seahawks that Russell Wilson created quite a contentious relationship towards the end. So, it's nice for them, nice for Geno Smith. Geno Smith had an all-time quote,
The folks you said had written you off, maybe? What did they say to them?
Yeah, they wrote me off. I ain't right back, though. That's the problem.
That's pretty.
I ain't right back.
That's
fucking mic drop.
That's bars right there.
That is bars. We
need to put that funk flex. That's called motherfucking bars right there.
Yeah.
You don't know nothing about that. Yeah, that was hard. And I mean, with Russell Wilson, it's just like all that. All those articles that came out after the fact that he got traded and all that diva shit that he was doing, and he wants to be MVP caliber, and he's in basically a power struggle with Pete Carroll or whatever it is, and he's done, tired of scrambling, and you kind of saw that in the game plan. He was almost doubling down. He's he had room to run, he wasn't running, and he's no, I'm going to stand in this pocket and force passes and do all this stuff. And it was just a weird game. He looked kind of shaky. I don't think he's made for that kind of smoke. Personally, he just seems kind of a little too, faith in football for me. And even the coach ran it back.
I feel like it's gonna bother him that people booed him too.
Yeah,
he seems like the type of person that it would bother.
Yeah, and I'm kind of torn on that because it's without Russ, that franchise is not what that franchise is in the last.
Yeah, he's their all-time greatest quarterback, without a doubt.
Right.
You look back on it, it's not Matt Hasselbeck.
Yeah,
I don't know,
and granted, they got a lot of run from an elite defense for so long. Yeah. I mean, their Super Bowl championship was pretty much strictly because of the defense. Russell Wilson game managed that team to a championship for sure, but the relevance that Seattle's had since then has been all Russ. So it does suck that they booed him. But kind of, I don't know if you saw after the game, there were no Seattle players trying to dap him up and do all that stuff. I think he burned his bridges when he left, which is weird to see because he seems like the opposite kind of guy. He just doesn't
seem like a company man.
Yeah,
go Hawks.
Yeah, and I just don't really see I don't think he understood the weight of everything that he's done. But I mean, he made his bed, so go play with the Broncos. And that team is pretty stacked, man. I was thinking about it while he was playing. I was they got tight ends, they got hella receivers, they got elite defense, they got 2 running backs. He should be slinging the ball like crazy.
No doubt.
But yeah. That was probably a tough game for him, but still, you played yourself.
You did play yourself. We're not overreacting. The Broncos aren't football isn't dead for Broncos fans. It's gonna be all right, but it kind of does suck to not win that game for his sake.
Yeah,
Seattle's loving it. I necessarily don't have a problem with you booing him. I think after the fact, you get his curtain call. His number will get retired, whatever. That'll be their chance to cheer him. But right now, the wound's too fresh. If fans can't boo a player and keep it on the field, that's literally all we ever ask fans to do.
For sure.
It's when they cross that line and it goes beyond that that we have a problem. So I don't have a problem with them booing him, especially how unceremoniously he left that franchise. And I will say Seattle's partly culpable. I know he had a no trade clause, but they did try to trade him a couple times.
They did.
But then he did that weird shit where he's I'm not asking for a trade, but if I were, these were the teams I would waive my no trade clause. Remember all that? It felt like 2 or 3 years worth of that stuff.
Yeah.
So it was it's nice to close that book, but if you do that, you're at the mercy of the fans. They can boo you if you want.
For sure.
You won a Super Bowl, probably should have won another one.
Yeah.
Marshawn Lynch run away from having 2 of them, but this is their time to boo. And let them live.
And bonus, you played yourself to their coach, Nathaniel Hackett. He was in the news. Yeah, maybe we should have gone for it. And it's dude, you do not want to hear a new coach say shit like this. Just keep your damn mouth shut and go win the next game. And just shut the hell up.
It's because his dumbass made no sense. After the game, they asked him about his decision making. You're putting the hands on the guy you paid a whole shit ton of money.
Yep.
You're counting on him. He's likely going to get that 4th and 5.
Yeah.
I mean, the way he was moving the ball, and Javonte Williams was running people over.
Yeah, that was pretty clean.
They could have done a pick play, and he would have ran somebody over for 5 yards.
Yeah.
So I think he got caught. It was probably a nice crash course because after the game, he made no sense. It was oh, we felt better about the chances of winning with the field goal. I'm Yeah, but you lost for not.
It says welcome to the NFL moment.
I mean, whatever. But definitely you played yourself, Nathaniel Hackett. I'm sure he won't make that mistake again.
No.
Okay, you played yourself. Green Bay Packers. We had to do it. I know they have a feature. You played yourself Hall of Fame member Aaron Rodgers. But this one's for the team. No Devontae Adams. But instead of surrounding your franchise quarterback with talent, you decide, here's a bunch of washed wide receiver 2s and wide receiver 3s and a rookie second rounder. Go for it. And there you have the result of them losing handedly to the Vikings 23-7 in the opening week. Their defense couldn't even really stop the Vikings. Justin Jefferson went off. I think he had one of the best, if not the best, fantasy performance.
That guy had a $150 at halftime, man.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely you played yourself to them.
Yeah.
A word on the street is they tried to trade up for the receivers, but if you remember, there was a run on them. And I think it was like Jahan Dotson, who, by the way, had a great first game, and Treylon Burks went to the Titans. So there was kind of a run on them, and they found themselves like not able to take one, but you could have traded up sooner and gotten a receiver, no doubt. You got any bonus ones for me, man?
No, I think it's
my blood pressure.
Yeah, I think it's go ahead and take a sip of water, take a deep breath, and I think we're all ready for the headliner.
Yeah, I know why you guys came here.
Let me tee it up for you.
Okay.
It's the off season. Everything's going, a little shaky. But you're a diehard fan. You're a diehard Cowboys fan. Anytime, the season's about to start, you're ready to watch your team play. You guys have of course, it's the Dallas Cowboys, one of the most premier teams in the league. Worth the most money on Forbes list. Et cetera, et cetera. You got a Sunday night football game against Tom Brady, one of the greatest players of all time. Your defense stepped up last year, played really great. You're excited to watch the game. And now you have it, your 2022 Dallas Cowboys. Week 1 in the bag. How do you feel?
Oh, my fucking God. You number one podcast listeners. Listen, you see the title of this episode, Football is Dead, and it's never been dead this soon. First, Dallas Cowboys, bring your dumbasses to the front of the congregation of the You Played Yourself, the church of You Played Yourself. First, let's go down the list first, okay? First, the performance. We're going to talk about the performance, the fucking abysmal performance. So even before Dak Prescott got hurt, they look like absolute fucking garbage. Just absolute garbage. Fun fact, the Cowboys were the only team in week 1 to not score a touchdown. By fun fact, I mean football is dead fact, of course, because, yeah, just fucking put me out of my misery. What's everybody doing on Sundays? Because my fall just opened wide the fuck up all of a sudden. First weekend, not even past September. My schedule's wide the fuck open, everybody. So business is open because God knows I'm not watching this sorry-ass excuse for a team that's about to trot out here. I seriously don't know how you work all off-season and think this offense was going to be enough. I could tell you from my computer chair, every fan could tell you from behind their keyboards that this roster wasn't going to work. And time and time again, we were made to feel stupid or that we were being ridiculous for panicking this early. Well, one fucking week into the season, we look damn fucking right over the people that work in the fucking building. How's that sound? Point for couch coaches everywhere, because somehow the stupid Jones family didn't see what's right in front of their face. Somehow dumbass Mike McCarthy, who's turning into quite the fucking clapper himself like Jason Garrett, just a fucking dumbass looking cheerleader out there. At least Jason Garrett was enthusiastic. Mike McCarthy has a stupid look on his face at all times, just clapping like a fucking one of those little monkeys with the symbols on it, like a fucking idiot, not doing a goddamn thing. He can't even manage the clock last year. Here we are with this sorry ass roster. Another thing, okay, number one podcast listeners, why can every team with the wide receiver 1 scheme their guy open except for the Dallas Cowboys? How does Kellen Moore render himself useless in putting his skill players in positions to win? Every single game I see it. What is the game plan against the Vikings? Stop Justin Jefferson. What the fuck did he do? Brand new coach figures out how to get Justin Jefferson the ball, and he has 150 receiving yards at half. How does that happen? The Packers know that the ball wants to go to him, yet somehow the Vikings managed. Then you have Davante Adams. First use on the Packers, gets force-fed the ball. You know it's going to him. Aaron Rodgers somehow, some fucking how, found a way to get the ball to his best player, right? Oh, Davante Adams switched teams. Brand new to the Raiders, right? He must have struggled in his first game. No, he finds plenty of production in Las Vegas, new team. Somehow, a brand new fucking team who didn't know Davante Adams figured out how to get him the ball. So then you turn around, the Cowboys had a wide receiver one, Amari Cooper. You ask, where is he now? He's in Cleveland. Oh, what'd you get for him? Not a goddamn thing. Maybe a 5th rounder. I don't even remember at this point. It's not going to make any impact. And then you say, okay, we're going to put our faith in our 1st round pick, CeeDee Lamb, right? He is so talented. Love him, right? Got the little sweet first down signal, sniffs under his nose, right? The problem is that he can't get the fucking ball to even convert a first down. How does that happen? How does every fucking team get their guys the ball? How? Why is it so fucking hard for Kellen Moore to scheme his guys open? Everybody's figuring out. Use a fucking tape from any fucking team in the league. Any team. Any fucking team. Michael Thomas was out for a fucking whole season. He comes back to scores 2 touchdowns with a brand new quarterback. How does that fucking happen? Why can you not get the ball to CeeDee Lamb? I don't care if you put him in the backfield and hand him the ball. Get the ball to your best players. I'm tired of him. He's throwing to some fucking no-name guys. Some fucking no-name guys. And the guy we get touted all offseason, Jalen Tolbert, they spend a 3rd round pick on him. What's he doing? He's fucking inactive. Are you kidding me? Tony Pollard, right? All these Cowboys fans, they want to tell me he's the answer at running back, right? Like Zeke's washed. What did they do? They put Tony Pollard in on 3rd downs. That man couldn't find a fucking block to save his life to help out Dak Prescott, right? He missed blocks left and right. I tried to tell you guys, Tony Pollard's good, but he's not the answer for an every down back. He needs to be a tandem. That's how he works the best, and he proved it. I don't know what the Cowboys were thinking. They put him in pass protection instead of arguably the best pass protecting running back I've seen with my 2 eyes. Zeke has put people on the floor. He's so good at blocking. He's done it since college. He takes great pride in it. But a supposedly healthy Zeke couldn't get in on 3rd down to help out Dak Prescott. Who knows? Maybe Dak Prescott wouldn't be hurt if they had a running back helping him out, getting that last block, instead of him hitting a few hands and helmets, and now he's out, right? Cowboys fans, start the fucking mock drafts now, and someone get me Jackson Smith and Jigba photoshopped in a Cowboys uniform. That's where I'm at. I've never done this sooner. I think this is the earliest since 2015. That was the season Tony Romo broke his collarbone twice. The first time he broke it, I think that was the earliest I've looked at mock drafts, just knowing a season's over. Then he came back. They were still in contention.
It was like
then
week 2 or 3, right? When he got hurt?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm on mock drafts pretty much already. And God forbid, Cowboys fans, don't tell yourself that they need to trade for a quarterback. This roster is not good enough. It's just not. We watched all offseason teams that were contenders get even better. People added new free agents. They wanted to get better. The Raiders added Davante Adams. The Chiefs, despite losing Tyreek Hill, tried to do their best adding to their receiver position. You saw the Chargers re-sign Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson. The Bills went and got Von Miller. The Rams, despite losing OBJ, went and signed Allen Robinson to try to give Cooper Kupp some help. Every contending team went out and tried to do something. The Tampa Bay Bucks, They got Tom Brady back, and yet they still said, you know what? We were thin at receiver. Let's go get fucking Julio Jones and add Russell Gage to our already stacked wide receiver room. Let's do that. Why not?
Julio Jones was sitting on his couch. He was there
sitting
for the
on
tape.
his couch.
Yeah.
Just sitting there. And the Dallas Cowboys front office tried to fix their mouth and tell us we're trying to contend while they knowingly got worse at multiple position groups. Let's think about it. I've already talked about this. They let Lyle Collins walk for nothing. He's on the Bengals now. They traded Amari Cooper for pennies, especially given what other receivers were traded for and the value they got. Amari Cooper is a hell of a route runner. We talked about this before. He is at least elite at route running, and that puts him above the rest. And you're seeing the impact of how CeeDee Lamb is as a wide receiver one so far. It's just not working well enough. Maybe it will get better. I hope it does, but I'm not holding my breath. Then they fucked around with Randy Gregory, and he went to the aforementioned Broncos. So his ass is gone. Oh, but okay, we lost Randy Gregory. Von Miller comes out as a free agent and says, I'd love to play for the Cowboys. Easy, right? Just go get him, offer him something fair.
He's a Texas boy, too.
Texas boy wanted to play for the Cowboys. Yep. Couldn't even offer him something fair. Where does he end up? On the fucking Bills. And how did he do on their opening Thursday night? He absolutely wreaked havoc, and his absence on the other side for the Rams directly impacted their ability to get after the quarterback.
Yes.
I mean, how could any Cowboys fan not want to hit the panic button throughout this whole time? We all saw it. You tried to tell us you're contenders while you knowingly got worse at some key positions. And then, on top of that, more to the offensive line. So, Tyron Smith gets hurt. What's new for my guy? I mean, it really is time to hang it up. I love Tyron Smith. He's been amazing. He was anchor for this line. He first represented the switch over from the Cowboys offensive line getting dominant. They used the top 10 pick on him. He's been amazing. But this man has not been fully healthy since 2015. 2015.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So, Tyron Smith gets hurt. You would think, like, since he's been hurt every year since 2015, you would have a contingency plan, a new guy in place. Oh, so they drafted this rookie with their first-round pick, Tyler Smith, because they see him as a future. What do they do with him? This man played mostly right tackle in college, and all offseason, they had been playing him at left guard, not even giving him reps as a backup left tackle. Then Tyron Smith, of course, inevitably gets hurt. So what's their solution? The guy hasn't taken snaps, so let's scramble to put him at left tackle. He did just fine, by the way, in his opening game. Great. Not an indictment on him. He did what he was told to do. But then you let Lyle Collins go, like I said, in favor of a guy, Terrence Steele. Did great last year. This man had 4 penalties by himself. False start after false start. Just out there proving that the Cowboys didn't improve anything in discipline, despite what Mike McCarthy's dumbass tried to tell us that they were working on. Just imagine thinking this was the year for a lineman, again, who hasn't been healthy since 2015, that he was magically going to stay healthy as he gets year after year older. You think he's going to get healthier after his body's been through so much? And then just flat out not addressing the contingency plan, not seeing the writing on the wall that everybody could see. Let's get a left tackle stalwart. Let's go find somebody. No. You count on this hypothetical situation that never fucking happened, Tyron Smith staying healthy, and that's what you roll with. I mean, it's honestly dumbfounding, and it's insulting to fans that you would try to tell us that you're trying to win. You know, you set this up perfectly. They're on the most valuable franchise list every year. I think Jerry Jones is just happy with that crown because all that man cares about is making money. He clearly doesn't give a shit about winning, because if he did, he'd make more moves than re-signing their injured wide receiver Michael Gallup, letting key players walk, and then signing James Washington to like a sub-$1 million contract, who, surprise, surprise, is also hurt right now. You know, Jerry Jones repeatedly also, and this puts a fucking shit bow on everything, right? Jerry Jones repeatedly talks about not being able to afford other players because of Dak's contract. They paid the quarterback. He said in the press, that's what happens when you pay the quarterback. You can't afford to pay other people. Oh, so how are Kansas City and Buffalo managing? Let's take Buffalo. They paid Josh Allen $258 million. Then they still signed the guy who you should have signed in Von Miller and had money to pay their star wide receiver number 1, Stephon Diggs. How did they manage? How are you not managing, but all these other teams are managing? Maybe the answer is that you're not fucking good at your job. How about that? Maybe that's what it is. I'm fucking sick and tired of being a Cowboys fan. I've said this, I think, on this podcast. Imagine me saying this. I seriously want my son Barrett to pick his own favorite NFL team. This life as a Cowboys fan is fucking miserable. We have to have smoke blown up our ass like this every year while they tell us, yeah, we're making improvements. The goal is the Super Bowl. While they knowingly got worse, they did nothing to address their glaring problems. And then they want to turn their franchise quarterback into the scapegoat just for getting the money he deserves. Oh, by the way, he should have got paid sooner, and then you would have had more money. Oh, by the way, you overpaid your running back to a gaudy number. His dead cap money is ridiculous. It's like twice as much as the next guy in the NFL. And somehow you want to blame these people for accepting the money you're dishing out and you not being able to figure out a way to improve your team despite all these other ones figuring it out. I despise the Jones family so much. They are the bane of my existence. This Cowboys team is a fucking joke. And the idea that you would try to get fans' hopes up, we saw right fucking through it. And you trotted this sorry-ass team out there with no offensive production, and you're going to waste great years of a defense. Unanimous defensive rookie of the year and runner-up for defensive player of the year, Micah Parsons, is just going to be out there balling for a team that doesn't fucking deserve him. Dak Prescott doesn't fucking deserve this team, doesn't fucking deserve this front office. I fucking hate this family that runs the team. They're running it into the ground. All they care about is making fucking money, and they're fucking great at it, but they don't know how to fucking win. And anybody that knows anything about the Cowboys, Jerry Jones bought the team. Yeah, they won Super Bowls after it, but he was not responsible for that amazing roster. He was a benefit of that, and that's what he's hanging on to as if he's some fucking successful front office executive. And here we have the fucking proof. Me saying football is dead after 1 week of sorry ass stupid football. I really waited all fucking day to watch that sorry product on the field. Every dumbass team found a way to score a touchdown. The worst of the worst. And you're sitting here, it's not hyperbole to say that was the worst performance in the entire league. And that's fucking embarrassing for a team that was just the highest scoring team in the league, made the playoffs last year, and had such a great roster full of talent. And they decided not to run it back, but actively get worse. And then try to act like we didn't see right through them. I fucking hate this team. I despise being a Cowboys fan. I fucking hate it. This team fucking blows, and I just hope that the rest of the players stay healthy because they don't deserve to get hurt like Dak does. And I hope to God they don't subject another quarterback to this shit. Just let the season ride out into oblivion because this team fucking sucks, and I'd rather have the top 10 pick because at least their draft department is solid and they'll get some good players that they can't mess up for another 4 or 5 years at least. And then it'll start that cycle fucking over again where they waste this talent and let the good ones go, sign the weird ones, and try to tell us that this is a contending team because it's fucking not. This team fucking blows. The front office blows worse, and I'm the fucking clown that sits there and watches it every year. I don't know which one's worse, but fuck this team. Fuck this season. Football is dead. Who wants to do something on a fucking Sunday? Thank you.
That was very good. Now, I am going to rub salt in your wounds because there's a few points I want to make too, because it's so weird to see a playoff team come out with that performance. And like teams lay eggs all the time. They have duds, like Green Bay, perfect example. There's no way they're going to suck all year. It's Aaron Rodgers. People can write what they want about Aaron Rodgers. He's going to ball out at some point. They are not going to suck. They'll probably still make the playoffs. That division is not that good. Yep. But it's weird to see a playoff team put up that performance and then have a consensus reaction from pretty much analysts, fans, everybody being like, yeah, Cowboys are going to be in the top 5 pick. If they can, like, if Dak doesn't come back. And that's another thing. Jerry Jones is like on the news, being like obviously wanting more headlines, being like, Dak's going to be back in 4 weeks. They're wasting that roster
false
spot.
Hope.
Yeah, roster spot. They could bring in someone else. Poor fucking Cooper Rush is going to go out there, get fucking blindsided all the time. And it's crazy. Like, I liked when we were talking to our cousin Sonny, he's like, the Super Bowl for the Jones family is the Forbes list every year. And I was like, you nailed it. That's it.
That's all they care about.
Yeah, and I was curious, just thinking of that, I was like, I wonder what Cowboys fans are thinking other than you. So I got curious, and I was like, I was looking at their schedule to see what their bye week was. It's week 9. But I was also, when I looked it up, it shows me the ticket prices on the side. Every single home game is available right now for under $60, just for the record. $60. And you have away games against the Rams starting at $190. Away games at Eagles starting at $175. At Green Bay Packers starting at $275. Like, they're a hot ticket, just not in Dallas.
That's because you built this fucking sorry-ass product and people enjoy seeing you lose.
Yeah.
And that's what you've created. You've created this, like, false empire that isn't an empire. It's an empire of absolute dog shit.
Clown school.
And people enjoy seeing you... Yeah, people enjoy seeing you fucking lose.
Yeah.
And part of that is this stupid-ass family that trots out and tries to convince us that they're somehow going to win this year when they get fucking worse year in, year out. I want to know what it's like. I want to know what it's like to know my favorite NFL team has a legitimate chance at success. The Cowboys are absolutely allergic to prosperity. I talked about this before. After their playoff loss, there's something higher at stake, and it sounds stupid, but the only answer I have is that the common denominator is the Jones family. Absolutely allergic to prosperity, that entire franchise.
Yeah.
But the difference with this roster this year is that they don't even need to mess up here. It's over before it even began.
Yeah.
They can't even choke anything away because it's already done. The fork is in them. Like, it's already there. Completely shit after week 1. And that's saying a lot. There's a lot of factors at play to consider a team DOA after week 1, and they managed to do it. They were successful at that, to absolutely shatter my hope for a season in 1 week. That's record time for the Jones family, so kudos to them.
Yeah.
I really want to know what it's like to think my NFL team has a legitimate chance. Like, what is it like, Tom Brady fans or Buffalo Bills fans? Or all 3 of you LA Rams fans. Like, what is that like to know your team is actually trying to do everything to win, and not actively trying to fuck with your psyche and your mental health every week and try to get you to tune into a sorry-ass product? I want to experience it once, and I don't think it's going to happen in my lifetime. So,
I don't either.
Maybe you number 1 podcast listeners that are fans of actually competent teams can let me know how it feels. I'll live vicariously through you.
Yeah. And yeah, back to your son Barrett. I would too like him to choose a team of his own, because as parents, the thing we need to do is to break generational trauma and generational curses.
Yeah.
And
you're right.
Your dad has, unbeknownst to him, put a lifetime of curses upon you by making you a Dallas Cowboys fan.
My dad got to experience those Super Bowls.
Yeah, he was there.
He was living
enjoyed
in Texas
it
during those.
Yeah. And, with our uncle, also big. My dad was a Cowboys fan, So it's like, obviously when Houston...
I wonder... I wonder what caused them to leave the Cowboys fanhood. I know it wasn't just Houston having a team. Maybe it had to do with one fucking Jerry Jones.
Yeah.
Just like every other fan that used to be a fan of the Cowboys.
No doubt.
One line of demarcation was when Jones took over the team.
Yeah, I definitely propose you guys make yourselves free agents and make things work out for yourself, because it's hard to watch.
Yep, good for entertainment. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Your number one podcast.
I did.
I do it for you.
I did. Yeah.
Okay, now let's move on to who you got and what you feeling, man. Now that I let my blood pressure return to normal. So last couple episodes we did talk about a few things. One of them, a couple episodes ago, we talked about where Kevin Durant would play for next season.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously we have a result because they worked out their issues. Kind of lame after all that drama that we have an anticlimactic King Snake Kevin Durant's just back on the Nets, or nickname to be determined. So he's back on the Nets. I think we all kind of talked about that as an option because it's going to be hard to move him. So wanted to put a bow on that. We did a contender and pretender and MLB version. I'm superstitious, so we don't want to update that just yet. We'll wait till the playoffs and see what goes down. But there's some interesting teams that are kind of faltering that, you and I both love to see have that happen too.
I'm not very superstitious anymore. The Yankees lose.
Lose.
Fuck that, man.
Okay, this week I liked your idea. You thought this one up, so I thought it'd be a fun game to play. I wanted to keep up with our theme of this episode, Football's Dead. So
Okay.
I'm gonna give you a few scenarios,
All right.
and you tell me for them if football is dead or it's not dead. Basically, like, should you be worried or not?
Okay.
So, first up, and this is all after week 1 performances. All right, first up, Joe Burrow's turnover. Joe Burrow, go Bucks, had 4 interceptions. He fumbled twice, lost 1. And despite having 338 yards passing, he had just a 42.1 QB rate. Is football dead? If football's dead or not dead for Joe Burrow and the Bengals?
I think football is not dead for Joe Burrow and the Bengals. I think
I
they're
agree.
feeling a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover. That's usually a thing.
Yeah.
We'll say that's a thing. They also played a very stout defense. Yeah, Joe Shiesty, man, he's going to come back. He'll be fine. I don't see it.
I agree.
In fact, they're playing the Cowboys this week, so they'll be 1-1.
Yeah, it should be a nice tune-up game for them and the boys.
They'll be all right.
Yeah, they still had a chance to win that game despite all those turnovers.
Yeah, he
which is
had
wild.
5 turnovers, and they had 2 chances to actually put the game away.
They should have won that game.
The kicker blew it, so...
Yeah, worth noting, I think their long snapper got hurt right before the game, so that was definitely a factor for them.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. Football's dead or not dead. Rams. They were blown out on opening night, 31-10. Do they potentially have second wide receiver issues? Allen Robinson didn't seem like he's on the same page with Stafford yet. Their running back production was weird. Cam Akers didn't play till the second quarter, despite him being touted as the guy. McVay had kind of like called him out publicly, something to do with his effort. No Von Miller was definitely felt like we talked about earlier. You didn't hear Aaron Donald's name called as much, and I think that's a direct result of not having complimentary defense alignment.
Yeah.
And Jalen Ramsey had, I'm pretty sure this is the case, he had the worst game of his career. He got cooked all game.
Yeah. I ain't gonna lie, I'm getting cooked.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't look like him. It looked like the monster stole his talent. So, football's dead or not dead? Rams.
Rams, I think football's dead for them. I think they're...
Really?
Yes, I think their issues are bigger than they seem. The second wide receiver, I don't think Allen Robinson is that good. I don't think he was going to fill anything. But more importantly, if Stafford's elbow was really bothering him, That's not going to go away anytime soon. Their running backs are less than favorable. Their defense is not going to be as good. Jalen Ramsey will be fine. Aaron Donald will be fine. But I think one of the biggest reasons Aaron Donald came back was because of that paycheck they gave him. So I know he couldn't leave that money on the table. I know he wanted to retire. But I think now that he's back, he's going to be like, fuck, man. I can't believe I have to play and put my body through this hell. I think they'll win about like 9 games maybe. I don't think they're going to win the division, though. I think that division is still going to be San Francisco or Arizona.
Hot take alert. I'm going to say not dead for the Rams.
All right.
Yeah. I'm going to say not dead. At least not yet. I want to see another game. I think the Bills are on a tear, and they very well are potentially the best team in the NFL, or arguably at least. I think they got a major chip on their shoulder after that, that loss in the playoffs.
Yeah,
so,
that was a big one.
I think it was definitely something to prove. And the Bills have they already had a great roster and improved it. So
they're stacked,
that's like. Anyway.
And my Rams being dead is definitely contingent on one thing mainly is Stafford's elbow. Like, that team is going to go where Stafford goes.
Totally. Yeah, of course. I agree with you there. Football's dead or not dead. I think we already answered this definitively, but the Cowboys were blown out 19-3. Worth noting, I did want to give props. The defense did force 5 field goals. Ryan Suckup made 4 out of the 5. Micah Parsons had 2 sacks. I think he's the quickest to 15 sacks in NFL history. I already went over their bevy of issues. Dak's hurt. Gallup and James Washington are still weeks away, so the wide receiver get any better. I think you're probably in agreement here. Football's dead, yeah. Yeah,
they played Tom Brady on like a D- game, and they got blown out. So I don't think it's gonna get any better.
I mean,
Cooper Rush is the quarterback for the time being. Cooper Rush, unless he's elite, which he's not, I think they're cooked for sure. Luckily, they play in a very shitty division, so depending on how good or bad the Eagles are, I know a lot of people are very high on them. I think they're still whatever.
Yeah, I think the Eagles are going to win this division.
Yeah, it's their division to win for sure.
Yeah, all the other 3 NFC East teams did win in Week 1. Next up, we talked about them earlier. Football's dead or not dead? The Packers. They were blown out 23-7. They clearly have no wide receiver 1, like we talked about. Rodgers definitely looked off. He was missing throws. And their stalwart defense that's supposed to carry them a little didn't look great, obviously. I'm going to lead this one off. I'm going to say not dead. And part of my reason is last year, if you remember, Week 1, they got blown out too. Mm-hmm. So I want to wait and see with them. I don't think they're dead. I think that division is wide open. I know you're not high on the division, but I do think that division is going to be much improved. You already saw the Bears win. The Lions actually put up a lot of points.
Yeah, I saw that.
Literally, Jared Goff picked 6 away from upsetting the Eagles. And the Vikings under Kevin O'Connell looked great. They got their best guy the ball. I think it's going to create a lot of open spaces and open free-running receivers. So we'll see if even Kirk Cousins can't mess that up. So I'm going to say not dead yet, but they do need to make some improvements, figure things out with their receiver.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think I'm tired of being made a fool by Aaron Rodgers every year, counting him out within the first 3 weeks.
Unfortunately,
and I don't
you played yourself Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I don't want to give him that beneficial attitude anymore. I don't want to see him win above me. I want to like support him and then see him fail. So I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna be like, Aaron Rodgers will be back. I think he's still elite. He proved it last year. I don't think they're gonna be bad. And while I don't think the division is too bad, it's not. It's better than last year for sure. But I don't think Chicago and Detroit are any real threats to win that division. But I do think both Vikings and the Packers will be in the playoffs this year.
Okay, and last but not least, the New York Giants. They won a very dramatic game. Their new head coach Brian Daboll went for the 2-point conversion to win the game against the Titans. They won 21-20. The Giants were down 13-0 at half. They did hold Derrick Henry to 82 yards rushing and just under 4 yards per carry. Saquon had a huge game. He looked like kind of his rookie version. He had 18 carries for 164 yards and a touchdown, and then added 6 catches for 30 yards. So, Saquon fantasy owners were thrilled with that performance. Football's dead or not dead, Giant?
I think football is mid for them. I don't think they're very good. I think it's going to be a much better year than years past. I don't think they're going to make much noise. They won that game. I'm not sure how they won that game, honestly.
I know.
It's weird, but Titans are good for a few duds every year. It came early, I guess. I think Titans will be pretty good. I think New York is going to finish 6-11.
I'm only going to say football's dead because I think we're talking in terms of overall success. So I'm going to say football's dead. It's not their time. And I don't think Daniel Jones is the one for them. So until they get a better quarterback, I'd say football's dead. But gotta say, be good for Saquon, looking like his old self. Hopefully he can stay healthy. He's had kind of got unlucky with that. So we'll see what happens. Okay. Now it's time for what you feeling. So, Rosh, what have you been feeling lately?
Let's see. I actually had a Showtime subscription for a couple months, and I watched a series called Yellow Jackets, and it was up for some Emmys. Fantastic. That was great. I took it off a recommendation. I watched it. I flew through it in 2.5 days. I don't think I've watched a series that fast. It's kind of old. I think it ended in January. But living in Austin, the summer's kind of winding down, but I've had a few visitors come in from Houston, so we have some friends coming in this weekend. My boy Sanch came in last weekend, and I'm not telling him, but the only reason I'm talking about him is because I've got on his ass for not listening to Creme Brulee, and I'm mentioning him by name on podcast to see if he reports back to me. Wow. And if he doesn't, I'm going to hang that shit over his head in true petty fashion. So,
amen.
Sanch, this is for you, bro. If you don't listen to this, you a hoe.
Don't ever play yourself, man.
Don't
Big
ever play yourself, Sanch. All right, yeah. What you got, man?
All right, so I recently had the honor of taking my father-in-law to his first hip-hop concert, which is pretty dope.
Yes.
So I call him Dad. So Dad's a big classic rock fan. So he goes to concerts regularly, but had never been to a hip-hop concert this whole time. So kind of cool getting to take someone to their first hip-hop concert. I've had that honor for a couple of friends, but this is first family member I've had that chance to do for. And we saw a hell of a show. It was Kendrick Lamar's Big Steppers tour, so it was a great place to start. And he enjoyed himself. Thought Kendrick was awesome. So it's all you can ask for is a cool experience. And our guy, Sonny Bott, visited Ohio. So obviously Sonny's a past co-host of Creme Brulee, so shout out him. But Sonny came and surprised my brother Vish and sister-in-law Jackie for my nephew Calvin's first birthday. So I talked about this, but I truly don't think he'll ever know how much it meant for him to do that, represent our family and come for that. He got to meet my son and obviously Calvin for his first birthday. So love to Sonny. And shout out to, our nephew Calvi for turning 1.
Yes, sir.
He's already 1. It's wild.
Young Kings, man.
Time's flying by. Yeah. But yeah, that's what I'm feeling lately. This was an easy one because these are the types of things as I'm getting more washed and emotional into my feelings, it gets me
for sure.
Gives me the good kind of goosebumps,
no doubt.
Makes you feel good. So shout out Sonny for that, and getting some quality time with him here in Ohio.
Yeah.
He came at a good time, before it either gets too cold. He's used to warmth, obviously, but
for sure.
The cold's a different story.
Okay. While we're talking about him, I think at some point, maybe by the time the season's over, we're gonna have a year in review for the Dallas Cowboy episode on Creme Brulee or something, and have both of y'all chat. I can moderate the whole thing, and I'll come up with questions for you guys to answer, and we can do something fun out of it. We'll brainstorm on this.
Okay, we're gonna do a year in review. It'll probably happen around October because that'll be definitely around the time the year will be over anyway for them. So yeah, stay tuned for that. That's a great idea. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, and the only reason I was saying that is to like make us a little accountable for what we're saying on here and being like, all right, we gotta hold ourselves to this shit.
Yeah, it'll be the saddest episode you guys ever watch, and you'll be entertained because
we'll put some emotional warnings. Yeah,
one Cowboys fan crying about their franchise. Let's add another one. Amen. Anyway, you know we like to wrap up each episode. Too much sense, so let's hit that intro, baby. Okay, you number one podcast listeners, my too much sense for this week is more of like a little warning. So I don't know who needs to hear this, but those folks that use this type of quote conflict resolution, we don't need to talk about this anymore. Again, I don't know who needs to hear this, but that's not a solution to working out a problem or conflict. All you're doing is sweeping it under the rug, and you can't truly heal or work out a problem that you won't even face yourself. So keep that in mind. It's hard to do, but don't just try to move on from something you haven't addressed. That's my too much sense for this week.
It's pretty solid. It's like one of your more aggressive too much sense, but I'm into it. That resonates with me for sure.
Probably leftover from the Football is Dead, so apologize for the harshness, but somebody needs to hear it.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, you number one podcast listeners, that does it for the 4th edition ever of Football is Dead, the earliest in the football season that it's ever been, but here we are. You number one podcast listeners, I can't thank you enough. You make doing these Prem Brulee episodes fun and make it worth it, so I just want to say I appreciate you. As always, please continue to share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, keep people accountable like Sanch, see if he's actually listening, that sort of thing. Quiz people on the episode, see if they actually caught it. That's a good way to keep people accountable and keep people as their number one podcast in your headphones status, because you don't want to lose that, last thing you want to do. So that does it for this brand new edition of Prem Brulee. I've been your host, Premal Bhatt. That's Roshan Bhatt. And thank you as always. We'll talk to you next time.
Yes, sir. Peace.
I'm fucking sick and tired of being a Cowboys fan.